Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel. In this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. And first we're going to talk about Avdiivka direction. As you can see, we have a lot of geolocations, additional information we received during the night, and the most important update is the Russian progress inside of the village by the name of Orlivka. According to information we have, the clashes were taking place during the previous night. The Russians were attacking Orlivka, Toninka and Berdachi. There were heavy clashes. Most of the mappers have updated their maps, and this morning we got, let's say, somewhere at 10 a.m. of the local time, at 9 a.m. of the local time, the telegram message from a very reliable source that most of Ivanovska on Bakhmut direction and Orlovka are under the control of the armed forces of Russian Federation. And later, right before I start making the morning update, we got this picture. This is the sign. This is the sign of the local Orlovka school and the library, and this building was geolocated. This is the area. So this photo confirms the Russian presence inside of this area, and according to this author of this photo, the Russian soldiers on the ground promised today to send additional video with the Russian flag. So very likely by the end of 28th of February we're going to receive complete confirmation of Russian control over the former Ukrainian positions along Bratov-Paukova Street. So the southern part between two lakes will be captured by the Russians by the end of the day. Of course, so we still haven't received any updates from the northern part, the most important part of Orlovka, but after the clearing of the southern part, obviously the Russians will have, let's say go to move further to the north. Additional reports are coming from the Toninka direction. Some Russian very reliable sources publish some control on the map, and according to some Russian sources, just a part of Toninka is under Russian control. But other sources confirms and reports about additional progress on the ground, and that the clashes are taking place either in the central part or closer to the northwestern part of the village. Furthermore, very interesting details we're receiving about the territory between the villages, about the Ukrainian defense belt. This is the satellite picture, and Ukrainians ridicule the command of the armed forces of Ukraine, explaining the collapse of the front and the fight from Avdiivka using a satellite image. Prepared advantageous positions between Lastochkina and Toninka. Ukrainian military propagandist is near publishing a satellite image with the bare fields where there are practically no positions and noticeable lines of defense. So if you take a look at this picture, we can't see anything. And for example, even if we use this Google map, we can zoom in somewhere in the vicinity to the south, and we can see the signs in the shape of the trenches, and what we can't see the same in this area. So basically, when the Russians during the previous year and starting of the battle for Avdiivka, the Ukrainians even haven't spent a single cent to create any fortifications on this area. Maybe they thought they was able to defeat the Russians, or maybe they just didn't have money, or the money were stolen by corrupted military authorities of the armed forces of Ukraine. Furthermore, the clashes continues in the outskirts of Berdachi. For now, we still haven't received any updates about the clashes on this direction. The Russian sources are saying that during the previous days they managed to discover at least 5 Abrams tanks on Avdiivka and Donetsk direction. Most of them were discovered. Currently, the Russians are tracking them, trying to find the best time, the best, let's say, approach to destroy them. And as I understand, if the Russians have already established, let's say, control over these Abrams, obviously the next few days we're going to receive more and more updates and videos of destroyed tanks of this type. And I'll remind you that just yesterday we got a very funny update from the Instagram, and according to them, they began to block videos of destroyed Abrams in Ukraine, reason protection of the company's image and business reputation. I wonder if 1 billion of people will publish the video with destroyed Abrams, they will collapse, they will close completely their social network, or they will allow publishing this type of photo. Very interesting. And now we are moving further. We are moving further to the south, to Krasnogorovka. The Russians continue offensive operation. During the previous night, we got additional geolocations and videos of FPV drone strikes and artillery strikes against the Ukrainian edge positions in the city. For now, we still haven't received even a single geolocate confirmation of Russian control over any street of the building, but most of the mappers and lots of mappers, let's say sources on the ground, confirms additional Russian progress to the north with the purpose to establish establish complete control over the southern part of Krasnogorovka until the railways. We have adjusted the map in front of Georgievka. If you remember, yesterday, according to some Russians, they managed to establish control over this part of the central street with these trenches. So we have adjusted the map, and now we are waiting for additional geolocated confirmations. Now we are moving to Zaporozhye direction. Very interesting updates are coming from Gulay Polya. Some sources confirms additional Russian progress to the southeast of the village. The Russians established control over additional buildings in the residential area. This is Dacha Chervone. I'll remind you that during the previous year, in the late autumn, the Russians, as a result of an unexpected attack, managed to establish control over the positions over the tree lines to the south of Chervona. And now they established control, according to, let's say, some sources, Rybar, including Rybar, the Russians established control over this territory as well. So, as we can see, this village used to be in the gray zone. This is not something like huge Russian progress and where the Ukrainians abandoned their positions and fell back to Gulay Polya. This is just the maintaining of the gray zone. So there are two possible options. Either the Russians are planning to start greatest offensive operation in direction of Gulay Polya, so that's why they're maintaining and eating the gray zone, or it's an attempt to make reconnaissance enforcer in combat to understand whether the Ukrainians might be concentrated some forces in Gulay Polya with the purpose to attack the Russians. The Russians made the same things before the battle for Robotyne and Zaporozhye direction. They managed to they captured let's say the gray zone before the Ukraine attack. So for now, this area is covered with the fog of war, and we should wait to get more details and updates about the territory. Now we are moving once again to Avdiivka direction. The important update is that the infantry, the forces of 110th Brigade, mechanized brigade of the Ukrainian armed forces, were went on rest and replenishment with their heads held high after Avdiivka. The brigade lost its combat capability. Basically, this is exactly what they were trying to say. Bakhmut-Artyomovsk direction, we continue receiving lots of updates from Ivanovska itself. Starting this morning, lots of not reliable resources reported that the Russians established complete control over the village, but those were speculations and projections and wishful thinkings. Obviously, the Russians control, and they managed to expand the bridgehead inside of the village during the previous night and the previous day. Currently, according to more or less reliable sources, just a half of Ivanovska is under complete Russian control. I'll remind you that the main difficulty the Russians are facing during offensive operation in Ivanovska is the Ukrainian positions on the hill that to the northwest of the city, of the village. From these positions, the Ukrainians see everything clear, and they can attack the Russians with FPV, with mortars. So until the Russians establish control, they're going to face some difficulties and issues while moving to the western part of the village. Furthermore, the Russians continue as usually bombing and attacking Chasov Yar with aviation, with FAPs, and so we see that the situation develops not in Ukrainian but in Russian favor. Very interesting report we got from Liman, former Liman direction. Now it's currently southern Kupiansk area. According to information from very reliable resource, the Russians managed to establish complete control over the village by the name of Makiivka. So this is Makiivka. This village was captured by the Ukrainians as a result of Ukrainian counter-offensive Kharkiv operation, and now on the 28th of February we received the first update about complete fall and collapse of the front line in this area. So according to some very reliable Russian sources, this is the current progress of the armed forces of Russian Federation. The village is under complete Russian control. Now it's a very good strategical position because the Russian flank on Makiivka is protected by Zherebets River. This is Zherebets River that goes to the south in direction of Terny, Zarechna, and then goes to Yampol and Seversky Donetsk River. And as soon as the Russians got to this line, now they can start movements to the south because their flank will be protected. They can move like to the south and to capture settlement by settlement until they force the Ukrainians to completely leave the Russian bank of Zherebets River. Furthermore, I'll remind you that just yesterday we got updates about the Russian progress in direction of Terny. So this might be like a small cauldron. Anyway, the Ukrainians sooner or later will be forced to fall back from the fields between, let's say, Zherebets River and Chernopopovka. So this move, but for now they are still in their position, probably trying to stabilize the area, but very unlikely they're able to do this. We haven't received anything from Kupiansk northern direction, and now we are moving to the political updates. We got some very interesting. Germany is announced the provision of another package of the military aid to Ukraine. The package includes 14,000 artillery shells, not much. It's for one Russian day. Russia used 10,000 per day, so it's like a day and a half. Few armored vehicles, few demining tools, so nothing special, nothing that can, let's say, support Ukraine in possible even defense operation, and we're not talking about offensive operation. Furthermore, the countries, the Western leaders continue talking about the speech of Macron about possible entering, moving and sending NATO forces to the western part of Ukraine, to Ukraine at all. For example, the president of Poland, Andrzej Duda, stated that the main topic which was heatedly debated at today's international summit in France was the deployed of NATO ground forces into Ukraine, with a number of allied countries claimed to already be prepared or preparing for such an operation, while several others stated that it should at least be discussed. So as you can see, according to his statement, there are not several countries that are already ready to send forces, and this is very important note. From the other side, we see that Poland has their own problems with the farmers, with the with production of grain, with production of all these things. So obviously Poland is not going to be the country that will send forces to Ukraine due to the political and in inner conflicts and inner problems. And of course, we'll finish the video with the United States of America. The first report and the first confirmation is that the United States of America is not going to send troops to Ukraine. The State Department, who knows whether they're lying or telling the truth, but official position that they're not going to do this. And yes, President Joe Biden requires legal authority from Congress to confiscate Russian assets, which he currently lacks. And we see that currently, and there are still problems in the United States of America. So basically, regarding the situation in Ukraine, we see that the United States of America is currently out of the game, and European Union and the forces in European Union try themselves to handle the situation in Ukraine and to hold and to slow down Russia as much as possible. And that's it for today for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.